Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please, I want to correct one impression. One of the key ingredients of Islamic scholarship is what could be termed as intellectual humility. I'm not a muhaddith. A muhaddith is somebody who is an expert in hadith, but I could be referred to as a student of hadith. As a student of hadith, I learned under my father, Sheikh Ali Abubakar Jabata, who could also be described as being a muhaddith on his own. Allah have mercy on him. For those who grew up in the 70s, 80s, 90s in Ilorin, everybody knew to be Baba Aladis, that is a scholar of hadith.
Yeah.
Because anytime he came up on radio programs, after the ayat of Quran, he would be picking a hadith
randomly.
That the hadith of Rasulullah that was reported by Bukhari, this hadith was reported by Muslim, the hadith in Bayhaqi, you mentioned the scholars of hadith. Everybody knew for that. And we grew up in the household, listening to the names and the attributes of the scholars of hadith. As young as age of 4, 5, scholars like Sufyan al-Thawri, Sufyan ibn Uyayna,
You've heard
Malik, and we have had them, though we don't know who
yes.
they were. So
but the name
it piqued our interest in the hadith. If there's there are mainly two branches of knowledge that he was so passionate about hadith and tafsir.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. And those names, and because Ilorin is also part of the north, you could speak some little Hausa.
Yes.
Anytime you mention these people, you say Malik, Sufyan al-Thawri, and others, you say those are manya. That is, those are big people. So it really spurred our interest in knowing that. And alhamdulillah, we learned a lot under him. So after that, went to learn some other things. I went to school just like anybody went to school. From there, I went to University of Ilorin. So when I graduated, I decided to continue in the journey of knowing much about hadith again. So it took me to the north. I went to Kano. In Kano, I met scholars of hadith who are still alive now. I think one of them is it's now Professor Sheikh Dr. Muhammad Thani Umar Jalemu.
In Kano?
Yes, he's a professor in BUK by the University of Kano now. A very perfect scholar of hadith.
MashaAllah.
He graduated from Islamic University in Medina. First degree, second degree, third degree, hadith.
MashaAllah.
Hadith.
Wow.
So while in Kano too, every weekend, we move. I'm always on transit. I was always on transit from Kano to Kaduna to meet our sheikh, the sheikh you just mentioned, Sheikh Maula Amin, in Kaduna. He's also a scholar of hadith. He stayed for some time in Saudi and some other countries of the Middle East.
Sheikh, I'm sorry to cut you short.
No.
Now, look at all of these ordeals that you had to travel north and south, to the west, to Ilorin, Kaduna, Kano, in the name of seeking the knowledge of hadith. A lot of people would not understand why would you go through such an ordeal that rewards so little materially. Why do we seek knowledge in Islam? Brings me to that question. Why do we seek knowledge in Islam?
Okay. And let me just answer your question perfectly. We talk about traveling for knowledge. It's a culture, an Islamic culture. That one of the ways that you can learn is to leave your domain. You leave your comfort zone. You go to other places. You get the experiences there. You meet people. You know people you have never met before. You get from their knowledge And this practice has a root in the story of Musa and Khidr. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam in Quran had to travel to meet Khidr as reported by Quran.
Yes.
So the scholars of Islam will use that as the basis for traveling to seek for knowledge.
Sure.
In fact, in the field of hadith, one of the prominent figures of hadith in the 5th century, Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, Ahmad bin Ali bin Thabit, he wrote a book, Al-Rihilatu fi Talab al-Hadith, going on a journey for the seeking of hadith. So, and he chronicled in the book, right from the Sahaba, the people who travel even for a single hadith.
Allah Akbar.
I think it started with Jabir bin Abdullah. You know Jabir?
Jabir ibn Abdullah.
Jabir bin Abdullah was one of these companions of the
companions
Prophet.
of
Was
the
an
Prophet.
Ansari.
Yes.
So he had to travel from Medina to Sham. In the Islamic text, when you say Sham, you mean the region, the places where you have Palestine, Jordan,
Syria.
and that's the
Bilad
place called
Sham.
Sham. So he had to travel from Medina to Sham,
Sham.
in a journey that took about a month.
For one
For
single
one
hadith.
single hadith. He bought a camel for it. This hadith, it wasn't a new hadith. He had had it from somebody else. But he was told by that person that the Sahaba that got the hadith directly from Prophet was now domiciled,
In Sham.
is now staying in Sham. He said, I had to hear it from him directly.
I want
So,
to hear from the direct source.
So the people of hadith call that one Uluwu Sanad. That you have had something from a secondary source, but you want to graduate to get it from a primary source.
Wow.
It's not that
Uluwu
whether
Sanad.
it is not true, it might be true.
Yeah.
But I want to
But
get
you
it
want to get
directly
from the
from
direct source. I want to go up the chain.
Very good. So he went there. When he got the Sahaba that he went to meet is Abdullah bin Unais. Abdullah
Bin Unais.
But he never knew it was Abdullah bin Unais. He was just told, okay, the Sahabi is in
Is in
Sham.
Sham.
And
When
he
you
went
get-
there.
He went there. So when he got there, he saw him go, you are the one. Okay, I had this hadith. Please just tell me. And he told him. So, and as soon as he heard that, he was heading back to Medina.
Allah.
So Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi will now bring all those incidents. Right from his companions to the Tabi'in to up to his own time.
Allah Akbar.
So the book is Ar-Rihilatu fi Talab al-Hadith.
Hadith.
So seeking for knowledge of hadith has always been associated with going on a journey.
Now, thank you very much, Ya Sheikh. The science of hadith and the journey of becoming a muhaddith, of course, it's very tedious, as we know. But what should be the impetus for up and coming scholars? What should be the incentive for them to go on this journey? And there is this word abir sabil. Yeah, talk briefly about that.
Abir Sabil with vis-a-vis what?
Vis-a-vis seeking knowledge and incentive.
What will make
someone to just like
What's the
Jabir ibn
drive?
Abdullah.
The drive, the
That will
passion.
make someone seek for knowledge.
Okay. You know, I had this generally reported messages that is based on, is handed down from generation to generation.
Yes.
Now, and every hadith will have a sanad. When we say sanad, it means the chain. Loosely translated has been the chain. We call it sanad. That is
Chain of narration.
the chain of narrators from who you get the information. Now, if you get this fact, in the lifetime of Rasulullah, the top companions were in Medina with him. At a point when the Islamic world was expanding, the companions had to also disperse to different regions. Meaning that some of them will take what they have heard from Rasulullah to those regions. You understand?
Yes.
So meaning that if you're looking for the messages from Rasulullah, you cannot get everything in one place.
In one place.
So some will go to Sham. Sham I mentioned the other time. Some will go to Yemen.
We'll go to Kufa.
Some will be in Basra. Some will be in Kufa. Some will be in Mecca. Some will be in Medina. So the scholars of hadith were interested that, okay, if I want to get this hadith, the people of Mecca have this hadith.
Have the hadith.
So I have to go to
Move
Mecca.
that.
Because if I don't meet the original Sahaba, I will meet his students there. Because
Yes.
these hadiths are
Domicile
domicile
there.
in Mecca.
particular
You understand? That would determine where to go.
Where to travel to?
Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Now, look at this hadith that is common. This hadith of In al Halal Bayin. Everybody know that what is lawful is
very clear.
It's clear. The hadith of Muhammad bin Bashir. So first of all, you have to know where Muhammad bin Bashir resided.
Got it from.
You understand? It was once a governor in Basra. By the time you look at the narrators, the direct narrator of Muhammad bin Bashir will be from Basra. Because this is where it will meet Norman.
Sure.
So now, if you're looking for this kind of hadith, it was okay, no, I have to be in Basra. Not that some other people will not get that, but the people at Basra are likely to pay much attention to the hadith of the region.
Okay.
You understand? So you go to Basra because of that. You can go for Basra for about 1,000 hadith. Okay, the hadith that says, Ya ibadi, inni haramtu dhulma ala nafsi. The hadith quote saying that, oh, you my servants, I've made injustice, forbidding for myself. وَجَعَلْتُهُ بَيْنَكُمْ حَرَامًا, and I made it haram for you to also do. فَلَا تَظَلَمُوا, you should not transgress one another. The hadith of the people of Sham. Abu Idris al-Khawlani was the one narrating it from Abu Dharr al-Ghifari. You understand? The hadith
He
of
narrated it from Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, who was a
Abu Dharr
companion
al-Ghifari
of the
was not
Prophet.
in Sham. He lived in Rabada. Rabada is a place between Medina and Sham. Meaning that people who are coming from Medina to Sham will pass through
We'll pass through him.
He once lived in Medina. So now, but
Yes,
everybody
of
knew
course.
that this hadith is of people of Sham. If you want to look for it, you go to Sham.
You go to Sham.
It's not that you can't get it any other place, but you want to get the authentic
People
thing,
that are
the
concentrated
original
in that
thing. You understand? Okay, if you're looking for other hadiths, okay, this hadith are domiciled in Medina, the hadith of the people of Medina.
Yeah.
So you go to Medina. You understand? Meaning that there's no way you can get all their hadiths in one
one
place.
single
And that
place.
necessitates what? Going for a journey.
Okay, with stars. The way you're talking now, it's looking like I want to start doing what you're doing.
Now,
But as a Muslim, where do I start from? Where do I start the journey of seeking knowledge?
Okay.
Where do I start from?
I think where one will start from is this. We will know the purpose for which we were created. What is the purpose? Is to worship Allah. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. To worship Allah, you have to know Him. You understand? If I say you should worship somebody, you have to know the person
You want to
you
worship.
want to worship. If you want to know Him, then you start from the information that is needed to know Him, so as to know how to
Worship him.
Because there are two things that have to do with Allah that we are worshiping. You have to know Allah, we call it al-ilmu billah. Knowing Allah.
Al-ilmu billah.
Then you have to know the command of Allah. That is al-ilmu bi amrillah.
Yeah.
You understand?
Follow
That is Allah, that is to be worshipped, you have to know His attributes. That is al-ilmu billah. Now, after knowing His attributes, then what does He command me to do? What does He tell me not to do? That is al-ilmu bi
Bi
amrillah.
amrillah.
So for anybody that will be a full scholar, you have to be al-alimu billah and al-alimu bi amrillah.
That's the stepping stone.
Yes. So now, al-alimu billah, al-alimu bi amrillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So, and the same word was used in Surah Muhammad in Quran. Allah said, "Fa'alam," know, that's knowledge. Know,
Fa'alam.
annahu la ilaha illallah.
Allah.
Know that there's nobody there's no deity that should be worshipped except
Except
Allah said you
Allah.
should know.
You should know.
And to know, you have to
You have
seek.
to seek the knowledge too.
And the first thing to be sought is Annahu la ilaha
And
illallah.
Allah.
No, that nobody should be worshipped. That is Tawheed. So for every Muslim that want to seek for knowledge, the first set of knowledge should be that one should seek for is the knowledge of Tawheed. Yes, because that is what all the prophets of Allah were upon, right from Adam up to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So for a Muslim who want to seek for knowledge, you have to seek knowledge of Tawheed.
Now, Ustaz, we've been talking about seeking knowledge, going to leaving your domain to another place to seek knowledge, look for ahadith and all that. So who do we call a scholar and who do we call a student of knowledge?
Who do we call a scholar of Islam or a scholar of a particular domain of knowledge in Islam?
Who do we call a scholar of Islam or a scholar of particular thing that is done in Islam? And who do we call a student of knowledge in Islam?
The difference between a scholar and a student of knowledge might not be that distinct in some instances because it could be used interchangeably. And even people who people consider to be scholars too, out of humility, sometimes say, I'm not a scholar. So the people that even people consider to be scholars too, sometimes out of intellectual humility, who describe themselves as being students of knowledge. Now, but you see, the issue is just this. Let's just say being a student of knowledge is the beginning. Are you with me?
Okay.
Then over the years, experience, the volume of what has been learned, and the capacity of the individual involved will now make people to consider him as a scholar. Let me give you an instance. Imam Malik rahimahullah. Everybody know Malik. The school of thought of Malik, Maliki school of thought. So Imam Malik was saying in his own time that ma after it too, I did not set out to be a mufti, to be giving fatwa in the deen, hatta shahida li sab'una min al-Madina annani ahlu lidhalik. Until 70 scholars who are my teachers testify to the fact that you could do that. You understand? It wasn't that he doesn't have the knowledge, but he was still counting himself to be a student of knowledge when his own scholars were alive. But if you put somebody like Malik at his own age in our own locality, would you say he's a student of knowledge? But what is advisable is this. Because Quran says, وَفَوْقَ كُلُّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ, above every knowledgeable person, Allah is alim. So everybody will consider themselves to be a student of knowledge. That is one factor. The second one is because anybody that says anything about Allah and His deen, you are invariably presenting to people what Allah says. Then that caution should be there. You understand? That caution should be there. That's no. Yes, I'm doing my best to present to the best of my understanding. But there could still be mistakes. So because of that, we say, no, I'm not a scholar.
Yeah.
You understand? So now, what is advisable is for everybody to be students of knowledge. You now acknowledge people who are more knowledgeable than you as being scholars. Meaning that you are open to learn more. Because it doesn't end to where you are. Abdullah ibn Mubarak, one of our Salaf predecessors, scholars of Islam, Abdullah ibn Mubarak, he was a scholar by every standard, by all standard. But he was still saying, when he was old, was still saying with a pen. In their own time, they use liquid ink, and this
and
stick, wooden stick. When they saw him at your age, what else will you want to say you want to learn? He said, لعل الكلمة التي فيها نجاتي لم تصل إلي بعد. Probably the statement or a word where I will get my salvation there have not yet landed. So that is a continuous thing. But regard should be given for people who have been in the process for years and who have the capacity of leading the Ummah to where the solutions of any problem that come up, and who have the capacity to do that, who can give it. So it's okay, you're a student of knowledge compared to this one. Those one also, I'm a student of knowledge compared to
those they learned from. Thank you very much. Building on that, and to wrap it up, in the seeking of knowledge. Now, someone wants to get started, our viewers, our brothers and sisters at home. Do you recommend any textbooks that will lay a foundation for a student of where should you like? You've talked about where to start from, of course. Now, are there any books that one should begin from?
And to add to that, sir, as a student, am I allowed to have favorites? Like, am I allowed to say, okay, the short hadith are the ones I like, the long ones, like all these hadiths you could see long, call a lot of time. Like, I don't like those ones. Am I allowed to make choices or something?
Well, let me add the two questions together. Your question is, where do one start from? We'll say, what is the purpose of seeking for that knowledge? Is it that you want to know what to practice your deen with? Or is it that you want to seek for knowledge to be a scholar or a student of knowledge?
Okay.
It depends. The
Yeah,
answer
of course. As far as I'm concerned, not only to learn to practice Islam, but of course to learn to be able to teach to become a scholar.
Yeah.
In which field?
Okay, let's say hadith and usul al-fiqh.
Okay. And in your own case, okay, short hadith or long hadith?
Short or long one?
Well, you see, all ahadiths, once they are authentic, they are things that should be known. Are you with me? But just like the cardinal principle in Sharia, in Islam, your responsibility towards anything is categorized based on the fact that is that thing fardu ayn or fardu kifaya. That is it an obligation that is personal obligation, individual obligation, or collective obligation? Now, every Muslim will have to pray. Salah.
Yeah.
So it means it is compulsory on everybody to learn what it needs to pray, whether you're a scholar or you're not a scholar. So if those hadiths you have mentioned fall into what you will pray with, you don't have a choice.
You have to learn them.
You understand? Yeah. Look at it now. Surah Al-Fatiha will have 7 verses. If some people say, I'm not an Arab, 7 verses are just too much for me, then you can't run away from it. You have to learn it. Because without Fatiha, you can't pray. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So, but for somebody who already had a background knowledge and you want to know about hadith or usul fiqh, what would I recommend? You have to look at the branch of knowledge you want to study, and you look at the domains. You have fundamentals of that. So you start from Mustalah al-Hadith. In the Mustalah al-Hadith means the terms that are used there by people of the Hadith.
Yes.
And in that one, there are so many things that have been written. Just pick anyone that you think will introduce you to that aspect. So after that, there's another branch called Ilm al-Jarh wa Ta'dil. Ilm al-Jarh wa Ta'dil means the narrators of ahadith that have been reported that want to categorize as being authentic and non-authentic. We have to know about them so as to know what will be our judgment on the narrations they bring to us. So that is the essence of Jarh wa Ta'dil. Then after that too, there's Ilm al-Ilal. The ahadiths that are reported by people who we think are reliable. They are reliable, they will not tell lies. But if they don't tell lies, they could make mistakes. So we'll still find a way of saying that, okay, this person is reliable, but this hadith is mistake. That's another branch. So, and in any field, there are prominent figures there.
Yeah.
And so for anybody who wants to do hadith, you surely like Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah.
Absolutely.
And there's no way you run it from him. You surely come across Ibn Salah, his Muqaddimah, and you surely come across Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah. You surely come across Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah. You surely come across Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi. You come across Ibn Abdul Barr al-Namri. You come across Ibn al-Jawzi. Come across so many.
These are
names.
fantastic names. The names of our own celebrities. You know, I mean, anybody out there could name the first 11 of Chelsea Football Club, and he's not even a Chelsea fan, you know, or even name the first 11 of Manchester United, you know.
Exactly.
But these are the real deal for us in Islam. We want to say a big Jazakumullah khairan for being here with us today, Sheikh. Personally, I've always learned so much from you, from the podcast you do online. We really appreciate you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our Ramadan and increase you in beneficial knowledge and make you a source of mercy to the Ummah. And here in Nigeria, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for your journey of scholarship. Ya Rabbal Alameen.
It's been a wonderful one. Like always, I learned a lot this time around too. The first thing, seeking knowledge in Islam is very important, and he emphasized on something that seeking knowledge, Tawheed has to be the first thing. You have to know who you want to worship, and that's the first knowledge you need to seek. You need to know how to pray. You need to know how to fast and everything that Islam entails. Do not seek any knowledge. Islamic knowledge is the right way. All right, from everybody in the studio who say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.